Hi, and welcome to Kane. So today's video's content is about Honkai Starrail. So today's content is, if you can choose one, which one will you go for? Blade or Jinliu? So the reason that I doing these videos is because in my country in the community they just asked a lot. So if I can choose one of these character, which one I could go for? Blade or Jinliu? So I think today's video is going to help you much or less. So I think let's head on. Okay, so first one, let's look on to Blade. So the both of that character is a destruction path, but they had a different elemental, which Blade is wind and Jingliu is ice. So let's look into Blade first. Blade is a destruction path, a wind elemental, which can deal the area of effect damage, which is AoE from using his skill, is a hellscape stage. So this character is unique. There is a unique skills, which is most of his skills is using HP to get into the hellscape stage. His skills, the ultimate is reset his HP to 50% and dealing the damage, and his special is this character is doesn't most of his skills is doesn't base on his attack that much, because as you can see here is just based on his attack skills for only 44%, but based on his max HP about 110, which is some kind of weird for any other character. I mean the damage dealer character. So he's going to have a lot of HP, and that is his natural. So let's look into the Blade's mechanic. So Blade's mechanic is all about his using his HP to deal damage. There is his talent, which is when a blade get hit or his HP is getting decreased by something, he'll get 1 stack, and when stack is full to 5, he will counter attack 1 time, which is using his skills and damage is 44% and use his max HP 110% as a wind damage to counter back and recover 25% of his max HP, and when he counter attack, the charge will reset to 0, which is really insane, because he can just, so his survivability is really high, and his character doesn't eat the turn point that much when compared to any other character, because his hellscape state is when he using 1 point of skills and he decreases HP using his HP for 30%, and he will in a hellscape stage for 3 turns, and in the hellscape stage is his overall damage is dealing is plus 40%. But there is a down point, which his EP, which is your turn, your point will not increase when he's in the hellscape stage. But this is very good enough, because any character in your team needs to use the point to doing some auto attack, which is the normal attack, basic attack, using skills on your to buff your blade and etc. So this one is really good. So let's look into another trait, which is there's a thing when he gets a lot of crit rate right here, and he's getting a lot of his max HP and getting a stat resistant, which is a really good for survivability. So Blade is kind of this character. So I explained the Blade character is finished. I think we should head on to Jinliu. Okay, so let's head on to Jinliu. Jinliu is a destruction path character which is ice element, which is specialty as same as blade, which is dealing the area effect damage, or you can say AoE damage, and deal a lot of critical damage. Because this character's specialty is her skill. Her talent skill is when she using skill or ultimate one time, she'll get a one stack of the moon, and when you get in a two stack, she'll get in a state of the full moon, which you get a 50% crit rate for free, and getting a speed 100%. And her skill will she'll using the the battle skill instead, and the blade so the blade is using HP to deal damage, but Jinliu is using allies HP to deal damage, which is, as you can see in the description, I'm sorry, it's Japanese, but I'll explain to you. So other than she'll using 4% of her allies max HP to deal 140% of the using HP to deal damage. So when she using and when she in the full moon state and using one of the full moon, she'll get decrease one of the full moon stack, and when it turn back to zero, she'll get back to her normal form, which is, you can say it's just closed eyes or open eyes. And I would say her kit is amazing. Her damage deal is insane. And I didn't even max upgraded her yet, and she deals insane damage. And you know that if she's in the full moon stage, her skill when she's using an area attack, it will not decrease the point of the skill. But her down point, I think, is her down point is she has, if you don't have the ultimate, you have to use 2 points of your skills, 2 points to get her into the full moon stage. So that is one of her down point, I think. And let's look at her trait. Most of her trait is so different than blade, which increase a massive of crit damage, as you can see. Increased 8%, 8%, 10.7%, 5.3, and 5.3, which is over 30 or 40 free crit damage. And this one is plus 4 speed, and this one is plus 3, which is plus 7, and here is plus 2 is plus 9 speed, and HP plus 6%, 4%, something like that. But the thing is different from blade is she doesn't use that much of HP, because as same as, I think is as the same as the other damage dealer character, which she's going to use her own attack damage, and she has to use allies HP for her to deal damage. So I think that's the explain for Jingliu. So let's see my opinions on which one you choose, if you can choose one. Okay, so here in this point, it was a hard choice, but if I had to choose one of the character, I would choose Blade, because the reason behind is because I didn't is he's my husbando, but when I've tried using both of Blade and Jingliu, I think in my opinion the Blade is much easier to use, because when is you're just using one of your point to get in a hell state, and you're dealing a lot of damage from even that 1 point you've paid. And you know that most of the team composition is going to be Blade, Bronya, and Luocha, and one of them is can maybe Silverwolf or Fuswan, which is the skill point eater for about two characters, which is Bronya and Silverwolf, and the other character like Luocha doesn't use that much skill. So as you can as I said at the first, the Blade is easier to play. What do I say is he's a brain dead character, because if you have him, I think most of the content you can just get your brains out and play this character. So I think let's see my opinion on the Jinliu. Jinliu, I think it's really good character, I must say, to be honest. But if I can choose one, that would be Blade, obviously, because for me Jinliu is she's going to need something more than free to play player that didn't have much resource to invest need, because I think she needs her own signature light cone, and furthermore than that is she's going to have her Eidolon wand, which is when she's using her ultimate or using her skill when in full moon, she'll get a crit damage 24% one turn, and if there is only one enemy, she'll deal more 100% of ice damage. Right here. So as you can see, but if you're free even if you're a free player, you can use the light cone from the Herda shop, which is in the destruction path, which is a raid 1, but it's not going to pull her to the point that she's good, better. I would say better than Blade, because Blade is just I would say is kinda free to play friendly, because if you don't have his own signature light cone, you can just use the Alan right here, which is really good too, because this is 5. This is a max level 1. When is said that you deal overall damage 40%, and when you had your max HP more than your enemy, it will deal more 40% overall damage, which is really great too. So but it's up to you whether you can choose Jinliu or Blade, but my opinion would be Blade, because he's more easy to play and skill point management is easier than Jinliu, because Jinliu has to use the team composition, which is I think is most the same as a hyper carry team, which is going to be, I think, whether is I don't have Bronya right now, but the team composition in my opinion it would be something like this. And Bronya at the last character. So as you can see, there is a skill point ear such as Pella and Bronya, and furthermore than that, there is a point where I don't like Jinliu a lot, is because you can't use the talent of Luocha that much, because Blade, when he using skill or using auto attack, it will decrease his HP is mostly lower than 50%, and the Luocha's talents will proc, and he'll heal Blade for 1 stack, and if you have enough the ultimate gauge, you can use the ultimate gauge right away to proc the Luocha's passive to heal overall team. But the Jinliu is different, because she didn't use her own HP, but instead her teammates HP. It didn't I think it didn't consume that much, so I think it is more difficult to proc Luocha talent more than Blade. So yeah, so I think that is my opinion on which one you could pull about Blade or Jinliu. If you enjoy these videos and maybe you can decide which to choose, which is Blade or Jinliu. I'm really appreciate it, and I think this video is about it, and I think we can see you next time. Thank you.